That's
So no,
it's
I can't
academic.
meet on Friday, but I could meet following.
All right, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. So tonight we have two items that are on the agenda that will follow council concerns, council interests. One is the school funding formula, and the other is the school CTE process. So as you will recall back from the retreat, there were three major priorities the council had, and that's safety, education, and housing. So tonight we're trying to follow up on two of the items that are related to education. I believe both Dr. Whibley and Councilmember Johnson asked about a school funding formula. So later this evening, Sabrina is going to give you just an update on some of the types of school funding formulas that are out there and how one may work here. So again, if you go back to, and I think Dr. Whibley and Councilman Riddick and Councilman Smeagol may recall when we started off in Councilmember Graves that we did senior disabled tax relief. And so that took about 18 months, and there were several presentations and discussions before council came to a conclusion. So tonight is by no means something that would be in front of you with the school funding formula, but instead it would be.
If you're satisfied with the message, press
So
1.
you've been having us on a That's the oldest trick in the world.
Just part of it.
Okay. Okay.
So,
That's
we will,
usually my trick.
we will
I was trying to leave a message.
hopefully start the process tonight for
Leave a
the.
message. I know who you called it too.
So we'll hopefully start the process tonight so that council can have a good discussion about whether or not that's something that the council would like the administration to continue to pursue. The update on the CTE process, the career technical education, the last time that the council was with the school board, there was a commitment back from the administration to come back to council to at least outline what a process would look like. And Sabrina will also provide an update on what a process would look like and where we are in that process. So Mayor, before I turn it back over to you, there were a few council interests that came the last time that we were together that we call them pop-ups. They're like 2 slides at that. And if council would like a briefing on these very precise topics, we can do it. So there were 4 that came up. One was the cigar factory, an update there. The other was an update on 1155 Pine Ridge Road. That's the lease that's related to the library. Then there are 2 items on the formal docket tonight. One is R7, which is the formation of legal entities by NRHA, and Steve Morales is here this evening if there needs to be a pop-up for that one. And then lastly, PH3, the amend enterprise zone boundaries. Chuck Rigney is here for that. So again, if anybody would like any type of briefing before you go upstairs, they're short, they're concise. We could do any or all of those, but it depends on the will of the council.
And Marcus, one thing I was hoping that we could have gotten an update on the impact of Matthew, on us. Tidewater, Virginia Beach Boulevard, Brampton Avenue. I've never seen flooding, in an underpass like that before. And I'd like to know how that happened. It was something we could have, prevented. And damages, and if we have to house any residents.
So,
And,
so Mr. Riddick, we are also prepared for that tonight.
Okay,
So
good.
Winter Benda was the deputy in charge, and we also have Jim Reddick here. So
Okay.
at any point also we can do that too for you.
yes, let's
Okay.
do that
I
first.
could do it first?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So Winter and Jim, you are up.
Mr. Riddick, to that end, I think what I heard was what had happened at the underpasses and also whether or not we had to have any residents.
Right, and, okay, and also some damages.
I was making sure that I had it right. So, Saturday, about 7 o'clock or so, we took a conference call at the Emergency Operations Center. And then I think soon after that, we implemented sheltering at Norview. We were looking because the waters were, the rain that had said maybe 2 to some odd inches was much more than that. And so we had 3 sites, 2 of which were rec centers and the greatest of which was Norview High School. And that became kind of the location because of just resources and availability to get to that site. The other piece is whether or not we had to shelter. I think we had, 25 to 50 at Norview that evening?
High 59.
High 59. We did do at Spartan Village, we did go out and contact the residents there. There are 50 that live in that area, 2 of which actually accepted sheltering. But we went to each of the different homes in there. And as for the underpasses, I think the rate of water we saw was maybe 17 inches in those, and it burnt out both of the pumps in that area. So it was just the volume of water. So there was pumps that were working, it's just the rapid nature of the volume of the water that came through there was too much, and as a result, both of those pumps, but it's in our recovery as far as the costs associated with it.
Sure.
And other than that, I'll turn it over to Jim, if that's okay.
Thanks, Winter. I'll actually say that we started preparing for this event at Mr. Riddick's Southside Task Force. So thanks again for having us there and kind of talking through what we were expecting to see with Matthew. So like Winter said, to go back to the beginning, we had Hermine first. Tropical Storm Hermine, which dumped between 4 to 7 inches of water, depending on where the official observations were. And then some wind speeds and some higher tides than usual, but it was at 4 to 7 inches, plus what we got with Julia, which is a record rainfall, almost a foot of water from rainfall in and of itself. And then we had Matthew. So we knew with Matthew coming ahead that we were going to have some down trees. It wasn't going to take much in terms of winds to knock down trees. And then with down trees come down lines and power outages. And the peak power outages that we had was about 43,000, and that was on that Sunday. And Dominion did a fantastic job with power restoration. We were at 12,000 the next day, and then it just kept dropping significantly from there. I will also say that this was in tandem with Dr. Boone and Norfolk Public Schools. Fantastic partners. Everything that we did was lock and step with each other, making decisions. We had a unified front, one team, one fight approach. And so it was because of them that we were able to open up shelters with a quickness within 45 minutes, which is a record time for us. Plus, all the shelters that we had looked at opening were all going to be pet friendly, and we had identified one that was going to accept those who have medical needs beyond basic first aid, which is required in the shelters, but not to the level of hospital care. So from that standpoint, again, as we ramped up with a Cat 2 facing us, although it was expected to reroute and head back out to the Atlantic from South Carolina, there was still a significant storm and a lot riding on the what if. So we ramped up, and we really never ramped down. We had facilities and staff on standby ready to go. And thankfully, because of that, we were able to make some quick decisions with the EOC activation, with sheltering and everything else. And like Winter said, tactical pickups in Spartan Village, we knew the amount of rain that we had was going to inundate any infrastructure that we had. So that was really the result of the bridge tunnels. And thankfully, we have resources in the area, the port and the Marine Incident Response Team, that allowed us to partner with them, get those pumps, and get the water out of there quicker than we otherwise would have independently. So between those 3 storms, we had around 20 inches of rain by itself. That's not even the high tides that we experience on a regular basis, and the higher tides associated with 2 of the storms. And so when you look at the top water events for us, Matthew was down here. It's at the bottom of the list. But we had Hermine about a month prior to. We had Joaquin last year, and then Sandy in 2012. So I know there was an article out recently about this maybe being the new normal. When you see those storms from Sandy on up, as well as the twin nor'easters in 2009, Isabel in 2003, Irene in 2011, this is something that we're expecting to see. So whenever we see that forecast of it's going to be a more above average season or a less than average season, that makes it's regardless, we are going to expect a storm of any significance coming our way, and it takes that one storm to make it a bad season.
So there is no normal.
Correct.
When they say above normal or below normal, there really isn't
Right.
a normal anymore.
Right. And plus, when we talk about the damages to properties, there's definitions of disaster, major major damage, and minor. If it's your house, it's a disaster. So we treat it as such as well. So George Homewood's not here tonight. I don't think he is. But Lenny is. And he said it right off the bat. So we understand as a coastal community what a 100-year storm is. we understand because we're in that world all the time. We're always planning for it, and it's a lot of what rides on the flood insurance policies. The community doesn't necessarily understand, and it's confusing. When you say a 100-year storm, and we get an Isabel in 2003, well, so it's going to be another century before we see that again, and the answer is no. We have a 1% chance that we're going to see it every year, and so we just saw 2 100-year events along with a 50-year event within 35 days. And so we'll also see, when we talk about the damages to the properties, over 400 properties that were affected, 17 had flood insurance. And that's a story as well. That's something that we have to get out into the community. I mean, the saying in our world is, if you live in a place called Tidewater, you might want to have flood insurance. But there's some reality to that. I visited one lady who, and we spoke about her, who just bought her home 2 days prior to the storm. She was told by her realtor and the mortgage agency that she wasn't in a flood zone, so she didn't need flood insurance. And she got flooded out. So thankfully, again, with partners in the faith community and other nonprofits, they were able to get her the assistance that she needed. But the message that we should continuously convey is flood insurance. If you're not in a flood zone, it's going to be a lot cheaper. But otherwise, you're going to have to, if you don't have it, you're going to be reliant on FEMA assistance, which may or may never come. So from a damage assessment perspective, Mr. Riddick, the residential and commercial properties, we're required to do an initial damage assessment within 72 hours of an incident. So it's more of a windshield assessment. Lenny and Bobby Tahan, they went out, so many folks from James Rogers' shop and the responders went out and collected as much information as we could to, just for the damage, so we can provide that to the state. And then the state can then provide that to the federal government to make a recommendation for federal assistance. So of the 400 plus structures that were impacted, again, 17 with flood insurance, there were, after the damage assessments with FEMA, VDEM, the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, and the Small Business Administration, there was 6 destroyed, 19 major, 28 minor, and 38 affected. And with that, there were over 400 trees that were either downed or damaged, which caused a lot of this damage to the properties. So just for a quick comparison, here's Norfolk right here with the numbers that we have. That's Chesapeake and that's Virginia Beach. So when you see the localities that were impacted much more than we were, certainly our neighbors to the south got hit a little more. There are definitions that we use when we have damage assessment teams out there, so we're coinciding with VDEM's and FEMA's definitions. And then GIS, Fraser and Kyle put some maps together of the density areas where the down trees were. And you can see the down trees to the left is everywhere. There wasn't one area over the other that was more impacted. That was widespread. And then you can see the reported damaged buildings, again, denser areas and over in the downtown area, and then Willoughby and elsewhere on the water. The damage assessment piece for the government infrastructure, the public assistance, we're approaching $2 million. Mr. Riddick, again, to your point, we were almost at $3 million when we included the pumps at the underpasses. But since they're also state roads, since they're federal aid roads, we can't include them in our assessment. So we're still going to meet the threshold, I think, for public assistance, but we'll find out from that later on in the week. My understanding, to your original question, is right now there's no unmet needs. We've reached out to our civic leagues, to our houses of worship, so many of our partners, and right now there are no unmet needs. But certainly there are in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, so we're seeing what we can do to help them. And the governor made a request for federal assistance on the individual assistance side back on the 21st, and we're waiting to hear from that. And so that individual assistance will be relocation assistance, transportation assistance, disaster food stamp assistance, and other programs. So we're waiting to hear back from that. We expect another request for public assistance for reimbursement to the response costs, and that'll probably come out later this week.
I think you guys did a great job. I really do.
Thank you, Mr. Rick. The team that we have here is fantastic. Again, the partnership with Norfolk Public Schools, with Dominion Virginia Power, public, private, not-for-profit, higher education, and military. That's Team Norfolk. Thank you, sir.
I know that the memo went out to the community that they don't have to make bulk trash requests up until November 4th, I think was the date that was given. There's still areas that have piles of branches and debris out, and I just don't know when we're going to get to it, because I'm worried about that stuff going into the street and blocking drains and stuff. So I'm just wondering, with Public Works side, how are we getting out to those areas to address that? So,
Behind you, Mr. Steve. Yeah, Richard. Waste Management is continuing to pickup. They worked this past Saturday. They've taken the folks off the task system. That used to be when you finished your route, you could go home when your whole crew was done. We eliminated that. So they're out picking up the smaller piles. Crowder Golf has come in. We're gonna hit 15,000 yards probably tomorrow. I just did another task order for an additional 5,000 cubic yards for them to move the north side park and the cemetery's waste down. Already started chipping operations. But Harvey, I talked to him this morning. He's got his crews going around picking up everything they can. One of the things we've noticed, people are continuing to haul it out. They've cleared, Crowder Golf, they'd get a neighborhood clean, they'd go back 2 days later and look like they hadn't been in. So that's why we urge people at the beginning, get your stuff out very quickly. We understand, people have to get contractors or whatever, but we're seeing people to continue to bring the stuff out.
Okay.
And we'll continue to work as hard as we can.
And I'm not gonna tell you guys how to do your jobs, but I'm just making sure. Does somebody have a map of the city with every road on it, and are you highlighting it after you've made one pass to make sure that you get every single cul-de-sac and because what's gonna happen 2 weeks from now is we start getting phone calls from constituents saying, my stuff is still not picked up. Maybe because they put it out after you went through there, but just so that we have some backup to say, well, we made a pass through your neighborhood on this date and we'll come back, but that we went through there, because it happens after every storm. We get those phone calls that say that the city never touched it. But they weren't home when the trucks went through and everything was out there, so.
So the great thing, Councilman Smeagol, is that I do believe, Sabrina, on every single truck we have, and we have GPS. So we know where every truck is, and when
Okay.
issues like that come, we're able to make sure we were there.
And just to add on to that, I don't know how I missed it this time, but in previous storms, we had a public map available that showed where damage was being reported. I didn't see that off of our website this time. Was that more of a communications issue than, but there was a map that you could actively see that a tree, because I was sending you guys every tree that I could find. But if I had a map, that had showed me that it had already been reported like previous storms, then I wouldn't have wasted my time doing that. Where's that up?
We did have, Fraser did populate storm, and if we didn't share it as best possible on the page, that's on us. But we did use it. We used it to note that we have over 400 down trees, but we did use storm this time.
Yeah, okay.
I thought Storm Mobile was a great effort in concept, and I think that there might be an opportunity to get some user interface feedback on it, so that we can make it easier for the public to use so they can access that information. Because as a concept, it's wonderful, it's just a little bit challenging for those who are not on the internal side of the world to work on it. So, and maybe put together a beta user group for that. I know there are a lot of folks who would be happy to help out.
Councilwoman Johnson and Councilwoman Williams-Graves.
So thanks to all of Team Norfolk. Great job. Richard, when you say that you make a pass through one neighborhood, and you said you go back, is that on their designated trash day?
Right.
When you go back around the second time?
Yes,
Okay.
so what we're doing, and we're still getting the reports, we have inspectors that cover every route of the day when they pick up the route, and they're sending in daily reports to us where these piles are located.
Okay.
So we're targeting the areas even when they're still coming out. We don't care when they come out. We have a long list that we're continuing to work down. So we're going through there every trash day, making a new list.
Okay. Thank you.
Angela?
Just to thank the team for everything that you guys did during the storm, because it was a lot, as we see, it was very unexpected. And just a note to defend my realtor and lender friends, we only advise that someone is not in a flood zone if the FEMA map put together by the federal government says we're not in a flood zone.
Ms. Johnson?
Winter and Jim, when you talked about the pumps going out, what is the plan, the future plans of the pumps? Repair or replace?
To replace, we've actually, I think, have a piece of equipment that the fire department has put on loan for us, and that's that team aspect that we've been able to help pump that out. The intention is to submit it with our FEMA report
Okay.
and hopefully get, or to replace it, yes ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mrs. McCollum.
With regards to flood insurance, I just want to commend Bobby DeHaan and the planning department. I don't know if you all realize we're part of the community rating system with FEMA, and we actually currently get a 5% reduction in our flood insurance for those who have it, and we're working right now to get an increased reduction, hopefully soon, of maybe 10 or 15%.
Yeah, that
So,
was based on initiatives that,
awesome,
we
awesome,
started.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. But that's something, I don't think there's any other city in the Hampton Roads region who actually does that,
It's-
so good
yeah.
job.
they were, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I learned it from Lenny. Asking
Mr.
Lenny questions
Jones?
about floodgates.
So, thanks, Winter, and thanks, Jim, and the whole team. That was a heavy lift, and it really showed how Team Norfolk comes together. So it's a great work. So, Mayor, what I will do is just go down this list of these, and I will show you the other pop-ups, so a lot shorter, okay? So, R7, which is the formation of legal entities by NRHA, I know that there were a couple of memos that went out in the council packet. I know that there was some communication over the last few days. I don't know if we're all fine, or do you want Steve to do a pop-up on R7, or is the council fine?
Mr. Riddick,
I'm okay.
I got it.
So we're good? Okay, great. So the cigar factory, is there a desire to get an update from the cigar?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so James,
All together now.
James, okay, thanks, okay.
Good evening. I just wanted to give you a very quick update on the cigar factory. And I'll just digress for a quick minute in terms of, we've been at this since 2014 with the cigar factory. In terms of, and I just wanted to show you the outline of the three walls that we've been talking about. And so folks won't think we haven't been doing anything since that time. We've always continued to engage work with planning and work with the city attorney's office to engage Mr. McCullough, trying to get that project done. He would do some things, and we said you have to go to the next level. We would assist him doing those. And finally, we come to a standstill. On October 8th, during the storm, that's when we had another, I don't have let me get the clicker. You can just click through one more wall. Yes, one more. Thanks. I just wanted to show you one of the walls that actually fell on the track, and that's really alarmed us in terms of, that was just the early view. And then that's the inside wall that actually on the other side fell on the track. So then we became alarmed. We had a structural engineer, Spader Mathers, go through, look at it, and said, hey, you need to actually address this. And so that's when we actually talked to Mr. McCullough and said, look, we have to take this thing down. He actually went to court, and they put an injunction saying, hey, stop, do not demo, give him 2 weeks to fix it. So he is in that process of doing that now. We actually go back to court the 27th, which is this Thursday, to make our case that we still think it's the structure is unsafe and that we needed to tear it down. And one of the reasons the judge gave us is because there are tax credits involved in this, about $4 million worth of tax credit, and they wanted to give him an opportunity to do this project. So, but as anyone knows, as with MSTAR, we are relentless about this in terms of safety. So again, we will keep at it. We're going to have this, this is going to be a safe building if anyone goes by, and we're not going to let them until that happens. So we will be in court on Thursday to show our case.
Is President Road still impassable?
Yes, sir, and that's problematic for us as well, and so we want to make sure that the judge understands that impact, as well as a couple of businesses that are impacted because folks can't get to those businesses. So we will be in court on Thursday.
Mr. Smigiel, Mrs. Davis.
That's James and
Yes, sir.
Debbie Bernard with this. So that we don't have another MSTAR,
Yes, sir.
mainly because of judges delaying and allowing that to happen. Just in your opinion, is this a true interpretation of Virginia law that this continues to happen in Norfolk, that when we have a structure that should be torn down, that we have to continue battling this in court when we know the end result's going to be that it's probably going to get torn down? Do we need to be asking our state legislators to address this issue? Because I've been duped 3 times now in Ocean View with hotels that have caught on fire, and we've had to fight this. It's nothing that the city's doing. City Hall's going before the judge. It's a judge who's saying 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, because these guys keep on coming back with excuses. Next time he'll come back on the 27th and say that his grandmother passed away, and he couldn't get it done. So the judge will say 30 more days. And next time would be my aunt passed away, 30 more days. Next time is my lawyer couldn't make it to the meeting, 30 more days. But at some point, we've got to start protecting the interest of our community and the way this looks. And I need to know where to go with this, because I've talked to Delegate Stawley about it over the MSTAR, because that was ridiculous that they were allowed to do that. But I need to know what else we can do. And if this is a November
So,
1st,
Let's, on our legislative agenda, Vernon, why don't we add what the current status is, current law, and if we need to have
Yeah.
something drafted.
Yeah, let us get back to you. This judge in this case had a balancing act, and so that Andy had an expert that disagreed with ours. So he had two engineers, and McCullough's lawyers argued that he had a very significant investment that would be lost with the demolition, and that an expert saying that it was safe and could be made safe. And so the judge gave them until the 27th to convince him that it is safe. And so we're going back to see if they have done the investment and taken care of it. And so the judge had a balancing between our good arguments and theirs. And so he sort of compromised and has got it coming back on the 27th. But let us review this and see if there is legislation that is appropriate to ask to take out the delays in it. So let us get back to you on whether there's anything we can do. And I don't know actually whether the developer has invested and will have a good standing on the 27th, or whether the judge will lift the injunction and allow us to proceed. James, do you know if any work has been done?
They're out there doing some structural things now. And again, we will be out there at 7 a.m. on Thursday morning, checking that to make sure that it's safe. We will have state managers out there to look at it, review it. We actually go to court at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we will be prepared to make our argument at 9 a.m. With the city attorney's office.
Mrs. Graves and Mrs. Johnson.
Okay, that was one of my questions, was what was actually supposed to be happening? What was the order from the judge to actually, for them to do between when we went to court, immediately after the storm and the 27th, but that their order is basically to make it safe?
Yes,
So that they can proceed with whatever
yes.
reconstruction or whatever. Okay, so my second question, and I think Mr. Reed might have asked this question a while back, but is there any way, because, we had 2 lanes of Princess Anne Road tied up, then it was 1 lane of Princess Anne Road tied up. Now the road is completely impassable, and so is there any payment or restitution or anything that we can, as a city, demand on behalf of our citizens for the complete and utter inconvenience?
Yeah, he's charged daily for that road closure.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Mrs. Johnson.
And I just wanted everybody to know that this has been a long haul, and that Team Norfolk, James, Bernard, and everybody involved has been trying to address this concern, and the tying up in the courts. And I've asked James, do I need to come and testify on something that will, alleviate this cigar factory? But, we're working very hard to see what we can do. But the judge said 2 weeks, so we're back in court again. But thanks to Team Norfolk for all of your hard work dealing with this cigar factory issue.
We'll continue to work until it's safe.
All right, Mr. Jones.
So Mayor, members of council, 1155 Pine Ridge Road, there's a pop-up if anyone needs that. That's the lease dealing with the library, unless everybody's okay with that. This is the lease for the storage, so we're good?
I wouldn't say okay, but understand.
Okay.
Is it, so,
Disappointed.
So why don't we do a pop-up?
yeah.
Okay.
So, the question is this for 6 months or is this a 7-year lease again?
So I'll let Sabrina pop up and talk about the lease. Yeah.
The pop-up,
In
is this
the-
like the pop-up restaurants?
Yes.
Are we getting more addicted?
It's the term they use in
Oh, we've
Charlotte.
got Team Norfolk, pop-up, man.
They use that term in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Some of the questions that you had last time were about renewing our lease and can we find alternative space? We have looked for alternative space. This facility has certain amenities that we absolutely need for storage. The facility, the library storage needs about 37,000 square feet. It needs space for employees, for their admin, but plus also their IT folks, because that serves as a central location for the books coming in, barcoding, and distribution. It also it needs to be conditioned because we've got volumes in there, some are archivable. We also need docks, loading bay, and we also need aisles that have enough turn square footage. We also need load bearing. So we couldn't just take this storage facility and stick it into an office tower or somewhere else because they have all these special conditions. The Pine Ridge has certain advantages. It's a total of 72,000 square feet. We don't rent all of it. As a matter of fact, when Slover opened, we condensed it down to save money on rent. All our administrative and our support is in there. Our IT is in there. It's centrally located for distribution, for receiving and distribution. It has ample parking. It has accessibility for delivery trucks, and it's climate controlled. So some of the other spaces that we looked at did not have climate controlled. We'd have to do renovation. A lot of it required, millions of dollars to do it. The current lease expires this month. The annual base rent was $332,000, so we call it a cost avoidance. We actually did try to terminate this lease, and we looked for alternative spaces. We looked at 9 other spaces. It turned out that the landlord came back and renegotiated the current lease, so we have a cost avoidance of about $300,000 annually over the life of the lease. It is 7 years. We do have a subject to appropriation clause in there. We also have right of first refusal when he gets to sell it. We did look at buying this building. The building was, I think he owed more in what it was appraised at. We actually had it appraised, and we just weren't willing to pay the price of what he wanted because it was under the appraisal. He is over. So he is, at this point, from what I understand, going through a refinancing. He's going to have it reappraised. At that point, if he decides to sell it, we do have first right of refusal.
When you say,
All right, Mr. Riddick,
No, go ahead, Ann.
when you say an appropriations, so in other words, if we don't, as a council, appropriate the money for paying the lease, then that gives us the option to come out of the lease.
Yes, we won't be paying the rent.
And I just want to make sure that we flag that all this going to be a year from now, that it doesn't come in under the radar screen. This came in under the radar screen, and we really almost missed it had not the Gotcha Virginian pilot, with the newspaper article in. So we're just going to do this for 1 year, or is it going to be presented like it was initially?
Well, while we renew this lease, we're still looking for alternative spaces.
Right.
So I believe the last council session, we put forth a Roberts Road warehouse.
Right.
If we need to, and we need to renovate that, that's an alternative site. But again, that's millions of dollars that we need to renovate that site to a conditioned space. But that's owned by the NRHA, and they've leased it to us.
If we decide to terminate our part of the lease, what is the prepayment? Is there a penalty if we, so we
You
can
mean
get up
if we decide to go before
before?
each April, we have to tell them whether or not
Got
we're
it. So we have,
renewing. So, yeah,
okay,
April, you can tell them.
all right.
That's an appropriations clause. If we
yeah,
don't
so it's
appropriate the
appropriation.
money for it, absolutely.
Okay,
then
so we
they-
want year to year. Andrea?
I took the opportunity to actually go out and tour the facility because I didn't want to just see it on a piece of paper. And I thought it was,
I've been there too.
and I talked to a bunch of the personnel at the library, all of whom were very much in favor of this facility. I thought maybe that they were just being stuck with it, right? So they really liked it. It's dry. It's dry. That's an important topic after our last conversation. It's centrally located. It's easy for the trucks to get in and out. I think it's an interesting idea that there's another 30,000 square feet there if we could come to appropriate terms and purchase the building and use it for some other part of the city of Norfolk. It's something that I hope that we'll consider that moving forward if there's an appropriate price.
Okay, thank you, Sabrina. Mr. Jones?
And Mayor, members of council, last one for the pop-up is PH3 if needed. That's the enterprise zone boundaries, and I think at least one council member has asked for a look at the boundaries. So Chuck?
The Enterprise Zone program is something that the city of Norfolk has enjoyed since about 1984. Each year, a locality is allowed to amend their borders and boundary lines in order to take advantage of it. So we've got about 2,384 acres, and that's based on no more than 7% of our entire city is able to be one of these enterprise zones. And so this is the current construction of our enterprise zone. We can go to the next one. I think we probably skip to the next one. We have a 10-year term that will run out in 2020. Again, some of the things that are ineligible for the state incentives under the enterprise zone: residential, local, state, federal property, public schools or institutions, cemeteries, and parks. It's important because I think what we've done is swap out as much of the institutional type land that we could in order to kind of add on some areas that we think would be important to add. Next. You have a certain notification system that you have to employ when you're going to be doing these things. All of these have been met. We did advertise 5 days and no more than 20 days twice. We did put in a notification to property owners that are in the area, a very small area that we are removing from the enterprise zone program for eligible properties, but largely warehouse users. We've had no negative comments back from any of those property owners. In fact, our zone administrator, Chris Tillett, has been in touch with most of them, and we've not received any negative feedback. And then, of course, tonight, public hearing for recommendation to approve this zone amendment. Can we get the next one? Let's go ahead and skip to the boundary line here. So this map, I know it's hard to read, and I do have a blown-up edition of this, but largely the areas in green are the existing areas. The areas in blue, here, here, these small areas here, here, and here, will be removed from the current enterprise zone designation, and we will add the areas in pink. This is a 67-acre area in the Chelsea area. This is the Church Street area, Hampton Boulevard. We are going to be adding on to our enterprise zone at the Central Business Park, and that's the Oakwood Elementary School property.
So what are you removing, the ones you?
This is largely Dominion Power, and a warehouse, and then these are institutional uses, the Kroc Center, which is ineligible, city parks, and some other things that we didn't scrub out of the earlier version of the enterprise.
Now, Church Street is not being removed, is it?
No, sir. In fact, we're adding on a piece of Church Street for additional opportunities.
Mrs. Graves?
Is there a way to, and I like what the enterprise zone allows businesses to do, but there are businesses that are struggling. And is there a way perhaps internally through the city we could possibly set aside funds to do something like that for businesses? I mean, I know they're businesses and, you know, all of those kinds of things, but sometimes they struggle to make payroll and they struggle to do the things that they need to do. So making the building may not be at the top of their, making the building pretty may not be at the top of their priority list, if you will. So is it possible maybe that we as a council could institute a program through the city that would allow us to do something similar for businesses that were not in the enterprise zone, but if they put up X, Y, we would put up Z, and they could, you know, and that way it would help some of the other smaller businesses that fall outside those boundaries and are good businesses, but they just don't, they may not have the extra money to do everything that they need, and a little bit of help might help them along. And it would also help the city because from an aesthetic standpoint, it would make it prettier.
Well, I think that is part of the problem when you have boundary line designations, because you are across the street, you're either in or you're out. And so we do have some programs clearly that are citywide and some that are subjective and based on the individual deals. But certainly we are always willing to take a look at how we might be able to assist smaller businesses and those that, again, if we are to keep the existing business base that we have, it's in good times and in bad times. We have to be able to take care of those that need to contract as much as they need to expand in order to keep them healthy. But I think that is a larger kind of research that needs to go into exactly what you're talking about.
Chunky, the max is 7,000 acres.
No, it's 7% of the total
7%,
acres, so it's about 2,400 acres.
And where are we on that 7%?
We're going to have 50 acres or so left over after we do this, and we're scrubbing out about 80 acres and putting in about 80 acres.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Chuck. Okay. So Mayor and members of council, as I mentioned earlier, Sabrina, we have a couple of presentations that will, I hope, help follow through with some of the questions that council has had dealing with education. And the first one is thank you, the school funding formula. So I believe Greg is passing out a resource book for you. It's a combination of information that you've seen over the years, as well as some updates to that information. The bottom line is that we think that this is just the beginning of a discussion. So as you leave tonight, there may be some information that deals with data that would be helpful going forward. Again, school funding formulas are something that are innovative, there are more school systems that do not have funding formulas than those that do. I will say this, that Jim Spoor, as he was leaving Virginia Beach, one of the things that he mentioned to me was that one of the best things that the beach did is when they went to an elected school board, they went to a school funding formula because there's certainty months out, as opposed to, I think, what's been a struggle for both the council, the administration, the school board, and the superintendent, is that somewhere in here with all good intentions, a lot of the discussion is in the May timeframe, as opposed to a school funding formula that would be more prescriptive on the outset. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Sabrina.
Good evening again. Okay, so this presentation, I'll begin talking about how schools are funded in the Commonwealth of Virginia, very briefly. I believe most of you know already. School funding options and designing a revenue sharing model, and then open it up for discussion. So how schools are funded in the Commonwealth of Virginia is, one, the financial support of public education, or K through 12 education, is a responsibility of the state and the local governing bodies. School divisions receive the appropriations through the local governing body. They do not have taxing authority in the Commonwealth of Virginia, hence why they're called school divisions and not school districts. Code of Virginia allows the appropriation of funds for public education in two ways. One is by the lump sum method, and then by classification. The lump sum is how we provide funding to our school system. And the majority of school systems, 132 of them, about 95 of them do it through the lump sum method. There are 9 classifications that you can fund school systems with, and that ranges from instruction to administration, transportation, debt service. Again, it's just classifications. Once you appropriate the funds to the school division, it belongs to them, and they make the decisions on how it is. All it is that they are bound by those classifications. Lump sum, of course, is the easiest and straightforward method to provide schools funding. Norfolk Public Schools budget, in particular, is made up of state, federal, and local resources, exclusive of the CTI, which is dedicated towards the 2 accelerated schools, the 2 cents that we did the real estate increase on. It makes up about 36% of their whole budget. But in general, it's about 39% of the city's general fund budget. So NPS operating funds, you can see that the state funding is the predominant factor. It's about 59% of all of their sources. Local funding is about 36% again, and CTI, again, dedicated source. Federal is 5.7 million. That 5.7 million is mostly impact aid, and other funds can be carry forwards or one-time or fees that they've generated.
And Sabrina, just to, can you let everybody know what impact aid means?
Impact aid is the funding that we receive from the federal for military children. It's those blue cards everybody fills out, I hope.
Green this year.
Green, okay. The blue one, my kids went. State support for public education, again, this is just a breakdown, just to give you some background information. SOQ is the predominant state funding method that funds all of your instructional, your basic aid, your special education, your retirement. Then sales tax, the state considers it a separate source, but again, that's all part of state funding. Lottery proceeds, funds are at risk. Again, VRS, they split funded VRS, K3 class size reduction, and the preschool initiative. Other funds are any particular special programs that the school system may enter into, and math and reading specialists. Federal support, again, impact aid is the predominant source there, E-rate, Medicaid reimbursement, and ROTC. Local support. So as we move forward into this revenue discussion, it's important to distinguish ongoing versus one-time. 115 million comes from the city resources, from city revenue. That is ongoing, that's in their base. They also have the 3.5 million, which is your debt service for the 2 accelerated schools. But what you also don't see in the appropriation that you do in the ordinance is the in-kind services. There's about 12.7 million in in-kind services. That includes money that we spend for for city staff to do grounds maintenance, upkeep, debt service for school buses, debt service for other construction, and also the maintenance. That 12.7 does not include the 4 million that's in CIP annually, or the 3 million at one point. That's maintenance. This is just the debt service that's included. So when we talk about school funding options, the benefits of revenue sharing is that it gives some sort of predictability as the year goes on for the school system. It improves their ability to plan. It also improves the city's ability to plan. And it also links locally controlled generated revenue to schools. And it sort of gives them an increased stability there as well. They know what to focus on. So the discussions here can be more on other things, programs, academics, if you know how much money you're going to give them up front, or at least a ballpark figure. 2 models of funding public education is either a school board request or a revenue sharing model. And when we look at Hampton Roads cities, 3 of our Hampton Roads cities do it based on a formula: Chesapeake, Hampton, and Virginia Beach. Chesapeake, I don't believe, has a formal arrangement, but they still have a formula. Norfolk, Newport News, Portsmouth, and Suffolk do it based on a school board request. And in our research of formulas, there are various ways of doing these formulas. Mix of revenues, some include only real estate property tax, some include utilities, some include personal property. It's just a mix. It depends on what the locality wants. The most straightforward method is to take locally controlled or locally generated revenue and do a percentage off of that. It's the straightest, it's the easiest way, there's no question about it. The locally generated revenue, when you do that, is you have to remove designated sources. So we have, the CTI. The CTI is designated by ordinance. We would not count that as part of the amount that they would get. So whatever they get is devoid of that. So when we look at designing a revenue sharing model, it allows Norfolk Public Schools to share in our revenue growth or share in the city's growth. Everybody is in this pot together. If the city grows, they grow. It aligns the local support based on student population. What we are recommending today is that we look at an ADM-linked model, and I'll get into that a little bit more.
80 what?
ADM, Average Daily Membership Model.
Kids gotta be in class.
ADM, and that's,
Twice a year.
it's a bit innovative. We're the only ones that are proposing this. None of the other formulas have this. And we're also proposing that NPS is held harmless if the average daily membership projection comes in lower than what they projected. So why we're saying do an ADM-linked model is that because it would be based on the number of students that NPS teaches throughout the year. The state formula is based on ADM, which is different than enrollment. Enrollment is the number of students that are eligible to come into Norfolk Public Schools and who they have on their books. Average daily membership is a calculation that's done throughout the year that the students that come to school every day divided by the number of school days. So it's a calculation that's done. And DOE uses that method, and they project it on a 2-year basis. And so what we're saying is follow that method. Link this to an average daily membership. Link it to the number of students that are being taught. So historically, when we look at the numbers, the green line that you see is the average daily membership, and it has declined. The blue line is the change in our locally generated revenues that are available for disbursement. The orange line is the school board request. The gray line has been our change in the city contribution. And the mustard yellow, I guess, this mustard yellow is other sources. So your other sources would be one-time, your surplus funds, your CTI. You wouldn't want to include that in there because they can't support paying their bills with that. So as you see, there's no correlation right now between the school board request or the ADM. So in moving forward, as we establish this formula, what we're saying is, let's use the ADM, but in order to get the ADM, we don't have an ADM for 2018 if we're looking forward. So historically, we have an average annual decline in ADM for about 1%. That's your red line. The blue line is your enrollment decline. Remember, those two numbers are different. The enrollment decline, average annual decline, is about 1.2%. So to do our scenarios in our formulas, we said, let's take a conservative approach of just a 0.5% decline in ADM, because we don't know what it is yet. NPS also hasn't submitted the enrollment for this year yet either, so we don't have that. They have a projection, but we didn't want to base it on that. So what we say is, let's establish a local per pupil contribution. So taking FY17, you take your 115 million that's in local city support. That does not include CTI or one-time or surplus or carry forwards. Again, this is ongoing support that they need. You take that by the adopted ADM. This is their figure right now that their budget is based on. And you just divide it, and you get about $3,900 per student. You take that $3,900 and you get to I'm sorry, it's cut off. You take the $3,900 and you use that as your base for moving into 2018. And then we're saying is our locally generated revenue is projected to increase by 3.1. That's going to vary depending on where our real estate assessments come in. It could go up, it could go down. So you take the 3.1% increase, which is equal to the increase in the ADM, and you get to a new local per pupil contribution amount for 2018 going forward. That gets you to about $4,000 per child or per student. You take that $4,000 and you multiply it by the projected ADM. Again, if we move forward with this, we'd need to get the ADM from NPS. Multiply it by the ADM, and you get to $118 million. That's a $3 million increase.
Where did that 3.1% come from again?
It's an
From
estimated real estate.
That's our projected revenue growth.
Okay, okay. all
That's
right.
just that's what
Okay.
we're basing our 2018 budget
Okay.
on right now.
Gotcha.
Now budget
Okay.
gap and
All right.
everything else.
Okay, I missed that. Okay, I just missed it. Okay.
So this is the same look as this, it's just in a table form. So when I say this is, nobody else does an ADM. However, the state does an ADM. The state also does something called a per pupil amount. So they take the per pupil amount, they run it through the SOQ formula along with the average daily membership. It's a very complicated SOQ formula. It's got lots of variables in there, and they come up with the state funding formula. So as the enrollment goes down, of course, state funding changes. And if you don't have the students, they don't give you the money.
Angela? I'm sorry, Marcus. Angela, then Mr. Jones.
Does this formula, well, how do we assist the school with the needs that they have not been addressed in the past? Because if we're looking at a formula that's based on the number of children that are in the school, the ADM model right now, and they've got $5-6 million worth of needs that have not been met in the past, and those needs are not going to change. They may grow because they've not been addressed. How do we help them to address those needs outside of this formula?
Sure. So, Sabrina, if you go back to slides 13 and 14, okay. So, again, there's many ways to try to do this, but we tried to start off with an innovative option that we put on the table, and at the end, Sabrina has a bunch of things to consider, and I think one is what you've just said. But if you go to slide 14, I think the orange bars are kind of sort of our dilemma, okay? It is, a request comes in, and so Dr. Boone and I have a great relationship, okay? So you have a superintendent that has a budget that's due by end of January, and then the school board gives you their budget by April 1st, I believe. And sometimes you have these tremendous requests. And so if you go back a slide, what we're trying to do is try to think of some principles, okay? So one of the principles would be, can you just share in the revenue growth? So right off the top, additional funds, how do you share it with the school system? The other is aligning the support based on student population. And then the third one I think is the most important, is holding the schools harmless. So to answer your question directly, I don't know if the council and the school board have all agreed on what the needs are. So once you decide on what the needs are, then it's easier to say, well, how do you address them? One of the things that Dr. Boone's proposing this year is a zero-based budget. So she may come back with a budget that basically says, well, 115 million is not what my needs are, it's 118, or maybe I found some savings that is 112. But so the base principle, I hope, is that of these three, I guess, pieces of this philosophy is kind of sort of what we're trying to test tonight. Is sharing in the upside of growth makes sense? Is having some formula based on average daily membership makes sense? And I think everybody would agree at some point just hold schools harmless in terms of even if the population declined or the revenue declined, you wouldn't automatically go lower than the 115 or the 118 in this example.
Dr. Whibley and then Mrs. Sminkle.
Sabrina, tell me about the timing here. One of my interests in the revenue sharing formula would be so that schools could plan how much they were expected to have and to establish their budget. So would our revenue percentage be available then? ADM, I guess, is by what, October, September?
March 31st.
The ADM, the schools should have hopefully by fall, because they have to get ready for the governor's budget to be proposed. We don't have it yet. And as far as.
ADM, not.
Yeah, ADM too. They would
Okay.
need to have a projection
They
at
do
some
two
point.
counts though, they do it in
Twice a year.
March too. right?
Yeah, the
Yes,
state
September.
trues up in March.
So would we just use the fall one then?
Right, we go with based on fall, because as budget development goes through, we would know what our revenue projections are. So right now, it's 3.1%. It could go up or down, but it would be constant communication with the school system. So you tell them what it is in the fall, they tell us the ADM, we say, this is what we project you may be getting. And then it's constant communication as the process goes through. And then as the budget gets finalized, you finalize their number. So it wouldn't be a surprise, but they'd have a ballpark come fall of every year what they would get.
They'd have ballpark, but the actual number would probably be closer to their submitting their budget.
Correct,
Am I right?
correct. Give or take a few thousands.
So the denominator is ADM in your innovative formula. ADM is the denominator?
Yes.
Yes. So we've got a goal to protect a decline in if the ADM does not meet the projection. But with ADM as the denominator, the lower it goes, the higher the multiplier, so that we're providing more money as the population declines and less as the population increases. So that accomplishes 3 and 2.
I'm not sure I follow, but I don't.
If your denominator declines, 2 into 10 is 5, 1 into 10 is 10. So if your denominator is producing your multiplier, the lower it goes, the higher your multiplier. So counterintuitively, we're providing more funding with a ADM denominator per student declining than if it's increasing.
Because you're holding harmless.
In fact, your per pupil expenditure is increased, right, and I'm not sure you're completely holding harmless, because if the ADM is increasing, then the per pupil expenditure is decreasing, and you've lost per pupil if you're growing. You
Can I
gain per.
finish the true up So when the true-up comes, it will be after the fact, the budget will be set, and it'll be at the end of the year, after DOE has even done the March 31st ADM. So what we're saying is, in this model, if the ADM increases and our local revenue increases, because we'll track it all throughout the year to know where we're going to end, they share in that growth. They share in whatever is coming forward. If the ADM decreases throughout the year, remember, we're setting the budget in the fall, spring you're approving, so now we're talking a whole year later that we're truing up. So if the ADM decreases and revenue increases, we're saying, let them share in that growth as well. We'll do the true up there. If the revenue decreases and ADM increases, they need the money. They have additional students. We'll figure it out on the city end. We'll just, unless it's a bottom dropping out again and where everybody has to make adjustments, we hold them harmless. But if the local revenue decreases and their ADM decreases, then there should be an adjustment that's made. And that's consistent with other localities as well. So the true-up doesn't happen till a year later, and it's done at the end of the year, and we can do a budget adjustment or however we do it, or we roll it into the next year. However, wherever we end up.
Sabrina, Tommy, it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. So, just before I ask the question, the 115 million, did that include any CIP?
No.
Or that not even the other 3 million?
No.
That is totally operating costs. So CIP is not with the school construction in it, it's 3 million.
This year it's
Well,
4
4 million because we added a million in that. So that's not even included in any of this. Okay.
We're also saying don't include any surplus or any budget amendments as well, because sometimes we'll carry forward money and you'll do an amendment for them.
So
We're saying
on the-
don't include those.
On the operating side, the concern has been discussed is the salary component. That's always going to be an issue. Teacher raises. How do we compete locally? And then if they're going to have to deal with the issue of the $1.5 million, that's going to be already a gap because the state's not going to projected to not fund the teacher salary increase, which I think the school board said was $1.5 million. Is that roughly?
1.4, right.
1.4 million.
Right.
So they're already going to come back to us. If your projections are correct, there's a $3 million increase, but already $1.5 million of that is going to have to go to replace the money that's missing. They may have a projection of extra money that could come back. There may be some additional over money that they can apply for that. But right now, just looking at those numbers, they're really only going to see an increase of about $1.5 million because $1.5 million has to be addressed. Is that correct? Or is that $1.5 million is actually half of that because it was only from January to June because the raises were starting in January, so is it really half of $1 million?
It's more than that, actually, because
Okay.
it was only a reimbursement starting in, I believe, December of this
Okay.
year. So it will be even more than that come next year because December didn't happen.
Okay, now looking at the CIP side, so I think the theme that I've heard from council members, and you guys can stop me at any time, of where we would like to support, if we could ever support, is first the salary increases and trying to get that area, get them up to the surrounding area or somewhere that we can be competitive. But then the CIP side has always been discussed. We've taken on a lot with the school construction, but we're also looking at the other maintenance costs that are happening. So I'm looking at NPS's 2016 planned major maintenance projects. And what I see when I look at this is actually opportunity to make that $4 million go a lot further, partnering with the city of Norfolk on these projects. I have said this now for probably 4.5, 5 years. If you look at projects that are at the top, replace shingle roof, replace built-up roof, replace built-up roof, replace metal roof. This is in section 4, page 3 of 4. I am pretty sure that Marcus, somewhere this year, the city of Norfolk is fixing roofs on its buildings. And that together with the city of Norfolk and Norfolk Public Schools, to go out together and get a darn good bid on fixing those 4 buildings' roofs and your roofs, that we could end up saving probably I'm thinking probably $250 to $500,000, maybe a month. I don't know, 50,000. Let's just say, but every penny. Are we having these conversations with Dr. Boone and the school board about ways that we can maximize this? We did it when we partnered with the localities. We looked at it as a region, but just in our own city, are we looking at opportunities? Resurface parking lot. Our public works department has asphalt companies on contract, right? We have, and I'm sure we get a much better deal than them going out for procurement and trying to. Are we doing this? Are we looking into these ways of saving money so that they can take that $4 million and make it worth even more? Because now they can go into other projects that they are way behind on. So it was a long question, a long explanation, but I've been asking for this for years.
Yes, we are, and Councilman Smeagol and members of council, I think one of the things that we need to have as an administration is the approval to continue to look at some type of formula, and if there are some things that we should add to it or subtract from it, if we should also look at CIP. We just wanted to put this on the table tonight to see if a revenue sharing formula is something that the council would like for us to continue to examine.
The answer to that question is probably going to be yes, but I think there's a lot of other things that need to be considered in that.
I agree. I totally agree. One of the things that
we want to maximize the dollar. We want to. That $4 million is still ours. That's the CIP. We're giving it to them. But how can we make that $4 million become $6 million and spread it out and continue doing it? I mean, we've got the big elephant still as Maury High School, and what are we going to do with that?
Right.
There's the CIP. So this addresses, some of it, but it doesn't address the bigger issue that we still have to handle on it.
I agree.
And I think there's a bigger sense of urgency with that. This is great, and I think it shows that we're making an attempt to make it stable. And yes, Dr. Boone's going to do a great job, I think, with this zero-based budget. I'm excited about hearing that. But we still have some major needs. And, Tidewater Park Elementary School is just, it's going to float off one day. It's going to, and I just feel like we've got to, it doesn't go back to what we had asked for when we met with the school board, is we've got to start dealing with, nobody's talking about the next 10 years after these schools are built. And we've got to do it now in order to address it later.
And so I do know that I believe there's another joint council school board meeting the first week of November.
You won't be here.
I will. and I think those are the kinds of things.
December, you won't be here.
December, you won't be here.
In all fairness to, the administration and Dr. Boone and her staff, we just don't want to get out in front of her. And so guidance from the school board and the council is what we need. But we work together well, and Winter's been working, and Sabrina's been working with staff. So that's something that we continue. But the broad vision is really set by the two bodies.
Well, so I'm asking now, so before December 7th comes, that we meet with them, that question can be answered. You guys have an opportunity to bring this up with a meeting, because you guys do meet with them, and say to them, how can we help with the procurement process to end up saving money when this is all said and done? And get an answer to it. I've been asking for 4.5 years on it.
Right, and Dr. Boone would say, in all due respect, she would say, well, Marcus, maybe I can do procurement better than you. So it's
and that's fine. Then bring that answer back. I mean, and then let them save us money. That's fine if that's what it's going to be the day. But I've asked, and there's never an answer, because the previous city council maybe didn't care about that as much. But we have a new council that is really caring about the CIP issue, and we want to help them.
All right, so.
So if I can wrap up?
Yeah, well. You good?
We have the direction.
So, I think, Sabrina, thank you for your presentation. I think that the questions that Tommy raised, and I know that Dr. Whibley and Mrs. Johnson kept asking for a funding formula. You've given us a lot to think about, but if you want to conclude, you can. If you just want to take these questions and probably come back with some answers, and Angela, then we'll move on.
I just think, I hear what Tommy says, and he makes a very valid point, and it's probably a very more detailed and eloquent way of asking the same question, because these are needs that the school board has had. But if the and I agree with you in not getting out in front of the school board, but if we procure items like shingles, and they procure items like shingles, the easiest way to determine who is getting the best deal is to look at the invoices. I mean, to me, it's just that simple. And then to look at what kind of discount we may get if we make, I mean, that's how Walmart got started, by selling in bulk. And so the more you buy, the less it costs.
Sure.
It's really simple. And so I think it goes back to, it's really not a us versus them. And we need to approach it that way and give them the respect of not getting out in front of them, but also looking at realistically, how can we make that dollar go? Because they do have needs that have not been addressed, and we've still got to figure out a way to address them.
All right, Mr. Clerk?
I move that the members of the council assemble informally in closed meeting on October 25, 2016 at 6:35 in the 10th floor conference room, City Hall building, City of Norfolk, for the purposes which are set out in Clause 1, subsection 8, Section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.